Hello and welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of our weekly stream, What's the Point? So before we kick off, some quick administrative notes. If you're listening to this, if you're a blogger or have joined us as a publisher, please note that the official details of the announcement remain under embargo until Tuesday, April 15th at 9 a.m. However, today, this event is we are here to celebrate two Canadian brands that we are proud of and to celebrate their latest and greatest partnership that's happening. And more on that in a few minutes. But to those that might be joining in for the first time, feel free to use the chat function. As you can see, it's starting to get busy already to ask, react, or however you want to use it, because along the way, we'll be taking questions. And I know our lovely guests are more than happy to take your questions directly and answer everything you have today. So nothing will be missed, I promise. So yeah, without further ado, a digital drum roll for two very special guests with us that'll highlight the event. Liza Akhvledziani Carew, CEO of Chexy, and Scott O'Leary, Vice President Air Canada. Welcome, folks, and congratulations to you both on this amazing partnership. L-
Thanks,
Le-
Angel.
yeah,
Thanks,
Lisa,
Angel.
Lisa, since this is
Hi,
your first
everyone.
time with us, oh, look at Scott behaving like a attendee. Well done, Scott. Since this is your first time here, Lisa, I'll start with you. I really want to know, as a fintech exec sort of shuttling around, what were your touch points or relationship with Aeroplan before this partnership took off?
So this is an interesting question because obviously myself as being, I think, a proud member of this community and a points community, I have been a member of Aeroplan for many years. I've been a big fan of Aeroplan for many years. And my first touch points with Aeroplan, I think, in the capacity of a founder and CEO at Chexy has been always around the fact that we've always advocated for Aeroplan and Aeroplan credit cards as being really powerful credit cards to use in combination with Chexy by virtue of, the strength of what a point is worth with Aeroplan and also just like the flexibility of redemption that Aeroplan offers. So from the very beginning, when we started Chexy, we were always big fans and big proponents in a lot of our internal channels on how great of a combination it is. And my first kind of more of a formal touch point, I think, with Aeroplan was actually with someone on Scott's team, PJ, who ended up being introduced to me through someone actually else in this community and then ended up becoming a Chexy user. And it was kind of this fun moment because at the time, I think we only had like less than 1,000 active users. We were maybe 6 months old. And, you have this pretty important person, in a company that you look up to trying to check out your platform and become a user yourself. And I remember being vividly and like, checking his rent payment every single month to make sure nothing has happened in a wrong way because you just wanted to make such a good impression. And I think from that point on, between myself, PJ, and then starting to get introduced to Scott and Mark and other people on the team, we just started thinking about how big of an opportunity I think Chexy and Aeroplan has together. And, kind of the rest is history. It took many, many months to get to where we are today, but very excited to be kind of kicking off this next phase of our growth journey together.
Fantastic. You've left out a few key details, but I'm going to poke on that a little bit on your personal side because you're on this amazing trip right now, and I wondered how many aeroplan points are you using, or are you engaging with Aeroplan at all through your lovely trip that you're doing right now?
Of course, I wouldn't be here. So I'm actually on my honeymoon right now. I'm in Vietnam. I have done the whole round the world affair on thanks to Aeroplan on Aeroplan points with stopovers, the very classic, I think, journey. And I think round like, from Toronto to Toronto, it was probably for the two of us around 450 to 600,000 points, all in business class. So we flew first to Nairobi and then to Dubai, and then flew to Hanoi, and then we're coming back from Seoul. So it's been quite an adventure. Different airlines, loved it all the way. Couldn't do it without airplanes. I'm a big fan here myself.
That's amazing. And I intentionally asked that because for folks to realize that this partnership and is not only unique, it's just the appreciation for the brands that are coming together from our from our membership's perspective, it's always great because we are constantly through those touch points and through Scott and Mark that have been on this forum before. We've also learned they're maximizers themselves. So, Scott, do you have your Chexy account ready to go just yet?
So I'm benefiting from inside information, so I have held off on becoming a Chexy member until we have our limited time offer launch offers that'll be launching later this week. So in the meantime, I've just gone delinquent on a bunch of bills while I'm waiting for that offer to come out.
God is not joking. That's why he's wearing a sweater inside. He's
He
the heat
stopped
is
his
fully off
utility
in his
bills.
house at this point.
That's amazing. Uh, Scott, did you ever, and again, coming back to that maximizer, I was think points that we can talk about, and I wondered, before Chexy or before Chexy came into your realm, did you ever get a chance to pay a rent or a utility bill? And did you ever wonder that, oh, what if I could just use my Aeroplan card for this? That would be nice. Because I'm sure Lisa has her story in terms of how they came about with the idea, but I wondered if you had ever thought of it on your
Oh
own about,
yes.
I
You
wonder
think
if I
about it
could.
every time you're paying a tax bill, every time you're paying a utility bill, and there's no option to pay with a credit card, or worse yet, there is an opportunity to pay with a credit card, but it's coming at some 2.5 or
Mm,
more percent, obscene transaction fee. And so, we looked at this as a real business problem that we were eager to solve. And so we were I can tell you that this team was so thrilled when we learned about more about Chexy and their existence and their ambitions because they absolutely lined up with everything that we were hoping for. Um, this is we get so excited at any opportunity to increase the everyday relevance of Aeroplan, and we get just as excited anytime we can find new outlets for our members to earn a serious whack of points. Up to now it's been having an Aeroplan credit card. It's been if you find yourself doing frequent air travel, those have been the ways to really stockpile points quickly. And it's not often that you get to come across a whole new category, a whole new white space of things that you do every day that are going to help you amass points in a serious way, in a very affordable way. My gosh, when have you ever seen credit card transaction fees at 1.75%? It is, we're excited as Aeroplan the business, but my gosh, we're also excited as Aeroplan members ourselves.
I didn't want to say it. I'm glad you did because I'm like, I'm more excited about that percentage point than this partnership. But, uh,
Scott, no offense here.
None taken,
Lisa,
none taken.
Lisa, take us back to the first few weeks or months when you were working, presumably with a few others, on this idea of a fintech company. When you were trying to explain this initially over coffee to friends and family, were they like, "Are you crazy?" Or everybody went, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Let's get this up and running." Give us a bit about the genesis of the brand and where it is today.
Totally. I mean, you'd be surprised, but the actual idea and evolution of Chexia, like it's not like the product that we have today, and even the original kind of product that we had, which is paying rent with a credit card, was the first ever idea in, kind of the landscape that we came up with. Of course, there was many different evolutions, but at the very core, I have been a firm believer that the vast majority of expenses that we make as Canadians today, which are, kind of these low frequency, high amount, kind of non-discretionary expenses, rent, utilities, taxes, mortgages, etc., currently do not provide any of the benefit that you otherwise enjoy and kind of some of the other day-to-day spend that you get. At the time, I was actually also working at Square. So in my previous life, I led finance and strategy at Square Canada. And I saw firsthand some of the fast adoption we saw in digital payments across these day-to-day verticals like retail, food, and drinks. But I also saw that players like Square, like Shopify, like Stripe, they do not really play well in these, like I said, high amount, low frequency items that are actually much more meaningful to Canadian consumers. And it never really made sense to me how, at the time, here I am working for Square, we're growing so fast, but I'm still writing a check for my rent. So that was kind of the genesis of the idea. And when we first started talking to customers, friends, and family about the idea, so my co-founder Ben and I started Chexy together. I can see that he's online as well. But the kind of thought there was, hey, can we allow consumers to earn rewards, build credit, and kind of give a little bit more flexibility to the, to those large payments that they make? And frankly, a lot of people really bought into the idea very fast. So there was little doubt that one of these things was going to play out. A lot of people have thought that the building credit part was actually going to be much more powerful, but I think they've really underestimated the points, driven Canadian community, and I think this community specifically. So when we first launched the product, we tried to do it with a number of different features, including, ability to pay with credit card, ability to split with your roommates, ability to build credit. And very, very quickly, we realized that really paying with your credit cards is enough for us to build a massive business on. And the other two are they're nice to have, but they're not something that people are very, very massively seeking out, not at least the people in the community that we're targeting. And so we really doubled down on the credit card piece and on the rewards piece. And from the first days that we were doing this for rent, very quickly, we also started getting questions around, can I insert anything else with Chexy? Can I pay my utilities, my taxes, so on and so forth? And it took many, I think, months, if not a year plus, for us to actually develop the payout capability to enable to pay out via pre-authorized debit, via bill pay, not just via Interact Transfer, which is what we started with, which were kind of the prerequisites for us to enable all these other categories. But now finally we're there. We've launched that in the last month, and we've seen an amazing, amount of demand, and it's been honestly quite a journey. And I can just say it's only the beginning. I think there's so many things that together with Aeroplan that we're planning to work on, and there's so many things that we kind of have up our hopper that we're hoping to kind of really engage and change the industry in. So we're super excited to continue building in the space.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'm going to bring out a few of these elements later in our chat because I want folks to have an appreciation of that progression of the brand from where it started and the elements that you keep adding on. And maybe we'll have a chance to talk a little bit about the roadmap as well through this partnership too. But Scott, would it be fair to say that this is quite a unique partnership, even in a portfolio like Aeroplan that has done so well with non-airline hotel partners or retail partners particularly, but this is even unique within that scale. So where does Chexy fit into the sort of scheme of things, and how do you see it? How do you see this partnership being different and yet very valuable for Aeroplan members that are currently part of it?
Oh, for sure. This absolutely represents a new way, a new mode for our members to engage that otherwise didn't exist. And we want to be a part of that. And I think what you're going to see coming out, this next week is just the beginning of how we're looking to bring our ties together. You've seen us do partnerships with other folks before, and if you know us well enough, you know that we don't do this in an analog fashion. We tend to like to have multiple points of engagement, multiple reasons to engage, and what you're going to see here this next week is just the beginning. I hope you take it that way. And also, as Liza pointed out, this is also just kind of the beginning. We're in call it the next set of innings of ways that you can use Chexy, and but you can expect that we want to keep going from there as well. But yes, Anshul, you've seen us typically engage, brand wise. You tend to see us engage with large multinational brands or brands that are call it leaders in their category, whether it's Starbucks or Uber or LCBO, Parkland. We get excited about that, and our members love that because it's a great everyday way to engage in the program. We also get excited anytime there is a new category and a new, better yet, a new category disruptor. And we do see those come across from time to time, but just no one like Chexy has quite come across in the past. This just so squarely lines up with what we view our members' goals to be and our goals. And so we're very, very excited to be participating in this category.
Talk about teasing us with all of these keywords: disruptor, new category. Well done, Scott.
Thanks.
Liza,
Hopefully there's a
even
bingo card in circulation right now. Hopefully, we're close.
yeah, because you're just piquing more curiosity. I'm just looking at the chat and some great questions there, which we'll take in a few minutes. But even before this announcement, Liza, Chexy members were using, I'm assuming, were using Aeroplan cards and were using other cards to sort of leverage points, balances, and things like that. So from a Chexy member's perspective, kind of what changes here on through this partnership?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I mean, I can't go into the detail, which is going to be revealed on Tuesday, but there's essentially going to be additional opportunity for Aeroplan points earned, regardless of what credit card you're using on Chexy. And obviously kind of a double dip opportunity for Aeroplan co-brand members. And all I can kind of say, and I'll leave it at that, this is just the beginning, like Scott has alluded to. I think there's a lot of exciting things that, our teams are working collectively together on making it happen to continue making it more lucrative and more exciting. And that's kind of what we are focused on. And you can trust that it will be that, because like you said, myself and Scott are big optimizers as well. And we want it for ourselves selfishly, as much as we want it for, our companies and the community.
Lovely. And same question for you as well, Scott. Can you, I mean, I guess we can drill a level deeper and I'll ask you this question. This partnership going forward, what difference can Aeroplan members, particularly current elite or future elite members, would there be things in that sandbox that these members can look forward to through this partnership?
So in terms of offers that you'll see on Tuesday, really what you're right out of the gate, it's going to be an acquisition offer for new members, and it's one that you'll see that has a payout at your first transaction, and then one that continues to reward you in your first year of being a Chexy member. There's also going to be something in there for existing Chexy members as well. We want to make sure there's an opportunity to engage in there as well. What you won't see, or at least right out of the gate, is anything having to do with Aeroplan credit cards above and beyond what you already can earn with your Aeroplan credit cards. But that doesn't mean that it won't be there in the future, but maybe give you something to look forward to, and maybe a tease of things that we're working on in the future. But even when you look at the spend and point earn value proposition on Aeroplan cards, I'll pick on our premium card for a minute. So premium card, you earn $1.25 on base spend or I'm sorry, 1.25 points per dollar spent. So if you find yourself, I guess an example is if you have $3,000 a month in expenses, like rent expenses, that's going to annualize out at 36,000 base dollars on a premium card. What's the math on that? That's closer to like 45,000 points that you'll be getting. Okay.
Yeah.
So because you're going to get 1.25, so 45,000 points in the bank. And then on top of that, on a premium card, you're going to earn 1,000 SQM for every $5,000 that you spend on the card. So you're going to get another 7,000 SQM through that activity as well. And our elite members know those bonus SQM really come in handy as you're looking to top up to that next tier level. And these rewards, the ability to earn at those rates are uncapped. I think if you take a look at other other credit cards that might offer incentives around recurring payments, when you look at the fine print, you'll see that those earnings are capped at a relatively low level. We look forward to just making sure that using your Aeroplan credit card is a no-brainer.
I'm going to start finding people in my circle that are renting and be like, do you want me to pay your rent for you for a few months? Because we can totally do that. Just kidding. Just kidding. Don't get into funny games. But yeah, and you spoke about what it currently is, but can you, and this is for both of you, whoever wants to take it, from a novice from somebody that's not in the industry, what kind of evolution do these partnerships take typically? Are we looking at a few months initially? Are we looking at, let's see how the first year goes, and then we can evolve the partnership to something else? Are there product sort of do products sort of unfold over time and the partnership just rides on it? How does that work from either side, I guess?
I
Maybe
can
I'll go
take it. I
first.
mean, okay,
Oh, go
Scott,
ahead.
go first.
uh, um, again, maybe I'll speak at this just from an Aeroplan partnership perspective. Liza can speak to it, from the Chexy roadmap, because I think this is going to be one of those partnerships where our members are going to stand to benefit from both. There's things that we're going to do on the Aeroplan side, both as a program and also with our one or more of our co-brand partners, where there's going to be real opportunities to boost your Aeroplan points just by engaging in various areas of the Chexy value proposition. And you can expect us to keep that fresh, as we tend to do. And so, just like you've seen us do with, again, Uber, Starbucks, LCBO, you didn't see us launch that whole value proposition on day one. Hopefully what you've observed is we like to keep it fresh. We like to
Mhm.
continue to expand the partnership. We like to do things that are promotional, but we also just like to keep adding and creating more reasons to engage. And maybe what makes this partnership unique is that our partner is also looking to continue to grow and evolve their value proposition as well, which is going to just create net new ways to engage in an already very lucrative partnership.
Yeah, I mean, I think Scott is bang on there. We're in it for the long haul, whether they like it or not. We're not going anywhere. I think we want to create so much more value for the community, and I think the original offer is just the very beginning. And I think, if you are a Chexy member, if you're somewhat familiar with Chexy, you know that we have built really fast in the past, and we will continue to pushing Aeroplan team to move as fast as we can, and continue, I think, creating some of these newer contracts that are super exciting, and I think changing the game in the rewards landscape.
And Lisa, how would sort of, I guess I can position it differently. What are some of the things that have worked really well in the platform leading up to this partnership? And what are some of the opportunities that you see to level up or even introduce some new options now that a strong partner like Aeroplan is on board?
That's a great question, Angela. So for us, historically we've focused on the consumer, kind of on the individual renter to begin with, and now on just general Canadian consumer and allowing them to pay their largest expenses with Chexy and kind of get the benefit of it. Throughout the last 2 years, we've also seen interest, I think, from some of the newer communities as well. So small business owners, entrepreneurs, to take a lot of interest in Chexy. And typically those type of users have a bit of a different requirement, different transaction size. From like our side internally, we need to have different, fraud and compliance policies because the transaction sizes end up being higher. They typically have different product requirements because they might have accountants or authorized representatives paying their bills. So there's a huge opportunity for us, and I think we're really aligned with the Aeroplan team there to eventually also start kind of approaching the SMB landscape a little bit more impactfully and thinking about how we can deploy a product that fits the SMB use case better, and kind of build this winning partnership with Aeroplan alongside for those SMB users. And I know that's a big focus for Aeroplan as well. And of course, I think one of the other things that we've also heard in the community is questions like, can I pay my mortgage and can I pay my, car loans with Chexy? And we hear you loud and clear. All I can say on that is that we are working, together with Aeroplan and with our network partners to see if it's something that's possible. I can't promise anything right now, but our, I think, goal together is how do we enable a consumer in Canada to essentially pay anything they want through Chexy with a credit card, and get those, Aeroplan rewards and any other rewards they might be seeking. And if we can expand that to kind of new various categories as well as new types of users, that's ultimately kind of where our eyes are set for the next couple of years.
And looking beyond the initial acquisition, and we spoke about sort of the quote unquote goodie bag that we are holding off till like Tuesday for more details on. But Scott, there was a question in the chat, and Liza, you can come in on this as well, about where was the question? Yeah, the question came from somebody named number 10. When comparing non-Aeroplan cards that give 4% cashback on recurring payments as an example, how will Aeroplan cards be competitive? You've spoken a little bit about that, Scott, but do you want to answer that? Perhaps sort of expand a little bit from your perspective as to how you see some of the Aeroplan cards be competitive in that space with a platform that obviously has other solutions as well that are competing in there.
Yeah. So on that one, I would say stay tuned. But again, that 4% offering is not an uncapped offering. That is a pretty low cap on it. Yeah, what we want to do is we want to come up with the right offer for our cardholders that can either have a higher cap or ideally no cap, but something that creates a best in market offering. So stay tuned there.
Lovely.
And Angela, I'll just cut in here as well. I think to be fair, and obviously take my opinion with a grain of salt, but as an avid traveler myself, for me, and as someone who knows what an Aeroplan point can be worth, and the fact that you can earn it in an uncapped way, frankly, I have never really, I think, cared for the cashback cards for that reason, because, yes, of course, maybe your average redemption is not going to be at 4 cents, but you can get some aspirational redemptions that are significantly higher value than you otherwise would ever get with a cashback card. Like I mentioned about my honeymoon and some of these trips that I personally would have never gone on to, would have not, engaged in the points game. So to me, in the end of the day, I think the thing that we always say to our users is it's not really cut and dry, and you really have to focus on like what is the goal that you're looking out to get, what kind of rewards are you looking to get for yourself, right? If you're an avid traveler and you know what you're doing with your points, like to me, I think whether it's the Amex cards or the Aeroplan co-brands, they're way more value than a cashback card. But of course, if you're just someone who wants to earn some cashback on autopilot and not think about it and has a relatively low spend every single month, maybe the cashback cards are right for you. I don't think it's like a cut and dry answer.
No, and both of these points that you've made, Liza, holds true to any new partnership. Also, sort of needs to ride the educational component for existing members on either side, because if there are members in there that have predominantly paid rent, for example, for cashback purposes and such, now the onus is on that partnership to also be able to educate the existing membership within that system to be like, hey, look, you could do this. Yes, great. But also there's a higher value proposition. So in the coming months or weeks, would we also see finessing of that aspect, like talking about value per se on Chexy platforms? Because I have gone through the Chexy platform and you guys do a great job in terms of telling people how they can save and get points. But through this exact chat, would there be a little more leaning on this aspect of value of one currency over the other?
I think that it's tough because a lot of that, can be a little bit, overpromise in a way. I think you really need to know what you're doing. And so, and we also, like, we're not a company that, does what you guys do, which is like really explaining the education to the end consumer. And so we really rely on people like you and people like Prince of Travel to communicate to the customers how valuable a point can be. I don't think we're going to be in the business of comparing the value of each point to another. That said, we do already try to show in example ways through our newsletter, the rundown that we run every Saturday, ways in which some of these redemptions that potentially might seem completely out of reach are possible every single week. So we include like an Aeroplan screenshot of business class flights to Europe for 60K or 70K, things that I think sometimes people who are not in the community think are impossible and kind of are a pipe dream. They're not. They're available every week. You do need to be patient. You do need to be flexible. But if you have those two things, I think it's very, very much possible.
let's bring in the expert in the room here that talks about value and points all the time. Scott, how
Yeah.
does Aeroplan play into this? Like, do you as a brand take the lead on sort of promoting some of these value through promotions and things like that? Or is it purely through promotions, or there's a little bit beyond that, both for existing Aeroplan members to be like, hey, look, this is a great avenue if you already haven't explored it? And how do you explain that to an existing Aeroplan member, like the concept and idea of Chexy that might be new to some of them?
That's right. Helping our members connect the dots around what these points are really worth. I think is I think that matters. And I think what we're finding is everyone's got different goals for their points. I think everyone on this call has found their way to the Maldives at some point, thanks to an Aeroplan reward, or some great flights of fancy, or Vietnam, as the case might be. But at the same time, some folks just enjoy taking short weekend trips for 6,000, 7,000 points, each way. Just the same. And so it is on us to continue to tell that story around how you can see outsized value with the Aeroplan program. And it's offerings like Chexy that really help us put that into focus. Because you are going to be in a situation where you are going to be earning points, potentially thousands, if not tens of thousands at a time.
Hmm. And since we are talking about value and the idea of earning thousands and thousands of points, Jake asked a question and said, would love to see a discounted transaction fee down to the Canadian rate for the US Chase Aeroplan. And I think that question I kind of gave you a heads up about this might be coming up the reason people are so intrigued with that is because Aeroplan obviously has a presence both sides of the border. How does that play into the existing framework, Lisa, and what is Chexy doing to address or continue that relationship and still serving people on both sides?
Yeah, so just to give some context, the reason that obviously we charge a higher fee for international cards as it is, because every international card comes with a significantly higher acceptance cost for us. So actually, if I'm being completely frank, we currently accept international cards pretty much at cost. We make very, very little money on every international card transaction because it's important to the community. And all I can say on the future of the transactions fees is like, well, let me and Scott take this back and see what's possible. I don't think we can make any promises here, but obviously this is something that we can have a discussion about and see if this is within realms of possibility.
That's right. We understand your ask and we know what you're up to.
But by the way,
Well
if you
said.
do want a lower transaction fee on Chexy, you can get there by referring people and unlock a lower transaction fee through, our referral tier. So,
Ah,
that's a tip.
Talk
is
about
this,
talk about the referrals, Lisa.
yeah, please. Is this like an existing thing? I didn't know about it. Please.
Yes. So we have our own referral program, and essentially it kind of functions in a way very similar to the Aeroplan Elite statuses, where we set every calendar year. But depending on how many people you refer, you achieve a certain status, which unlocks a lower fee on Chexy. So, for example, for traditional Canadian issued card, if you'd referred 3 people, you unlock 1.5% fee, and then a 1% fee at 5, and then after 10 people, you unlock a 0.5% fee. So if you refer a ton of people in the calendar year, and obviously the earlier you do that, you're able to unlock a significantly lower fee and keep significantly more rewards. And for today, this is going to be the fastest way you're going to get a transaction fee discount on Chexy.
Ah, amazing. And
Pretty
since we are
awesome.
talking about network, I don't know how kosher it is to bring it up right now, but Amex and Visa very much get the love, the Chexy love. What's happening on the other networks, the missing network? Are there plans that they would come on at some point? Because again, when we talk about Canadian members, largely there's such a big population that Chexy might be missing out on. So can you speak to a little bit about that, about network partners?
Totally. I mean, the pure reason that we don't accept MasterCard today is very similar to the reason on international cards, except we've polled our audience before we've discontinued MasterCard on if they would rather us to keep MasterCard acceptance at a higher fee. And the overwhelming response was that for domestic cards, if we were to charge 2.5% for MasterCard, not only becomes confusing, I think, for customers to have, network-based pricing, but also it's just for the vast majority of people not worth it. And actually, to counter your point on the number of people with MasterCards, what we've seen even, during the time that we had accepted MasterCard, our MasterCard share of volume has never been above 8%. So when we've made the difficult decision to stop accepting it, at least, for today, again, until we have some better relationships and better, opportunities to get a lower rate potentially, we have, we've not really seen any churn. And in fact, what we've seen is people just would switch to a different card. And so it really didn't make a big impact on us, I think, as a company, as a product. It is something that I think for having acceptance fully would be fantastic to have. And it's something that we continue to kind of work on, but we don't have kind of a line in sight there yet.
Scott, this would be again more towards competitive product, kind of within the Aeroplan portfolio. If I want to sort of use my non-reserve card or a non-VIP card, would there be promotions or would there be other ways I can engage with Chexy while driving that value without having to constantly worry about getting a much higher card? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how would you position some of the non-premium Aeroplan cards in this equation?
I think I think no matter what Aeroplan card you're using, you're going to enjoy an earn rate, and it's going to be at an earn rate that you're used to seeing, every day. You're going to earn whether, if you're, for example, on one of our core card products, one of our mass market products, you're going to earn 1 point for every dollar spent. It's still a great value relative to the transaction fee that you're paying. And obviously with those products, you are still earning SQM, bonus SQM and bonus SQS. So for example, on our core card product, that is, you get 1,000 SQM or 1 SQS for every $10,000 that you spend. We have got thousands among thousands of members that are achieving higher elite tiers because of just a few of those thousand that they're earning on their credit card.
Yeah, and this would just be additional sort of savings / earnings on top of what they're already doing just by doing these little things around it. Liza, I was going to ask you because there was a comment from Greg about mortgage payments or line of credit payments would be great to have. Can you talk to us a little bit about like what's the journey of having some of these big sort of non-traditional payments brought on board through a platform like Chexy? Like what goes into it? Is it just people asking, "Oh, I also want this"? Is it just as easy to turn a switch on and off, or other players are involved and things get a little more difficult bringing on some of these big purchase items?
So to be honest with you, without going into too much detail, it's primarily around the fact that traditionally all networks, have rules over which merchant category codes and what type of payments they accept on their networks and they do not. And so, in Canada, back 10 years ago when cannabis was illegal, you couldn't accept, for example, credit card payments, in illegal cannabis merchants. And even after cannabis was legalized, we've gone through a program at Square, I remember, of the amount of work it took for all the networks to adjust their rules and all the processors to figure out how to support those merchants in a low risk way. That took, many, many months, if not years, after the legislation was actually passed. And so kind of similar is true for just in general debt repayment, where all the networks have limitations on the fact that it is not right now a category that is widely accepted, and this is just not something that's seen in practice. And so it's up to us, obviously our partners at Aeroplan and our partners at the networks, to work together to figure out, hey, is there a solution in which we could, accept it as a category? And is there a solution that is low risk and is compliant? And there's a lot of, I think, questions in legislation. It's not just some like person's decision to do that. There's a lot of things that need to be considered to do it the right way, and ultimately that's the way that we want to do it, because we want to do it in a way that is sustainable and that is here for long term. And that's kind of what we're focused on. And I can tell you that we'll be working very hard on trying to make it happen, but in the end of the day, not everything is in our control.
No, and really well said, especially around the consistency and being the ability to be here for a long term, because that's what we all want, is to be not just making use of a great partnership, but also to see some of these Canadian brands that are market disruptors right now will be market leaders in a few years to continue to be around so that we can, as members, continue to leverage our travel or savings or whatever you want to call it. Heather actually is bringing a couple of questions in our Discord chat because our member participants are locked out. She's asking, Andy wants to know if there are plans for an app through Chexy. Like, is Chexy going
Yes.
to develop an app? Okay.
There's plans. If you are part of the community, you've probably seen we're actually very public on trying to hire from the community as well. And so we've been actually looking for mobile engineers. We are planning to build an app this year. I can give some context into why it hasn't happened today. And it's been primarily because being multi-platform for a small startup is very, very difficult. We have a pretty small team. We're 20 people. And so building multi-platform has a lot of danger in it. And when we first started the product, with it being rent, one payment a month, it didn't seem like the app was really necessary. Obviously, now that you can have multiple subscriptions on Chexy with different frequencies, with different cards, in the future, this is something that is very top of mind for us. So we are planning to, have a release. I don't want to make any promises again because Ben is going to kill me, but hopefully end of the year, if not early next year. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow, that's amazing. Ask more such questions, folks. Let's get some promises here. I'm just kidding. uh, I wanted to also ask you about, so currently the way you're decimating the payments is going through e-transfers, pre-authorized debits, and recurring payments, right? Am I missing any?
Yes, so we are doing payouts by all kind of the three major ways that you would pay a bill or pay someone in Canada: e-transfer, bill pay, and pre-authorized debit. And we are not, the only one we don't accept right now is if you're actually required to pay by paper checks. That's one that we're not able to support.
And is peer-to-peer payments just part of it, or that's something that you sort of don't dabble in as a platform?
Currently, it has to be, kind of a registered bill payment for you to do this. So, for example, you could be paying your rent by e-transfer. You could be paying your cleaner by e-transfer. Depending on the transaction size and kind of our own fraud monitoring that we've built, we might ask for supporting documentation. What we want to prevent is obviously, manufacturers spend in gaming. And we want to make sure that people who are using this product are using it for the reasons it's intended. So that's kind of what we focus on there.
Perfect. And with Aeroplan's portfolio of so many cards that are now available to be used on Chexy, is there a card limit and how many cards can be stored within your platform, and how frequently I can change and chop for different kinds of services depending on what it's coding as?
So currently, we only allow you to have one card, which is a big limitation that we totally recognize. We are actually working on ability for you to save kind of multiple cards to your Chexy account, similar to like a Chexy wallet, where you'd be able to assign different bill payments to different cards. It's something that we're hoping to release in the next couple of months.
Sorry, I'm chuckling at Denby's comment there about Scott can just include the full suite of Chexy functions on Aeroplan app. Problem solved. Right. Okay. No, so I didn't realize that one was the limit, but great to know that these are sort of known challenges and known, solutions that are being worked on and being looked at, because obviously with the partnership like Aeroplan, and I'm assuming with a bigger partnership like Aeroplan, you'll have a lot more flow of members from Aeroplan into Chexy as opposed to the other way around. So it's just, and hence the question in terms of what are some of the plans to absorb a bigger acquisition that's coming in the next few months or even early in that partnership.
For sure. And I can tell you that, again, we've just kind of gone through a migration in our product where over like only about a month ago, we've allowed all these other payment categories on Chexy and the ability to have multi-subscription. So slowly we are essentially iterating on some of the things that we know are really highly requested. So things like different frequencies. Right now, only frequency we allow is monthly. We will be releasing, bi-weekly, weekly, so on and so forth for different type of bills, ability to save multiple card, ability to assign different payments to multiple cards. These are all kind of, I think, smaller scale improvements to the overall platform that, that's super top of mind for us, especially kind of with the growth that we're anticipating with this partnership. And we're excited to kind of deploy that in the next couple months.
Scott, I'm just struggling to visualize where Chexy would live in that little tabbed partner list of non-airline partners, hotels, retail partners. Like, where does Chexy fit in there? And how would members engage when they're looking through that partner website? Where would they look for? What are they really looking for on Aeroplan to run into Chexy? Or would it be purely based on communications, outreach, and promotions that you put through on Aeroplan
Oh,
side?
oh no, they'll definitely be listed on our partnership slate. I believe the slot, the category that they'll fall into is everyday partners, because this falls into an everyday category. But I
Mhm.
think there will also be some cross-reference from our FI partners area, just because this is so directly relevant to that value proposition as well.
Fair. Are there other examples of a partnership like this, which is a payments platform slash airline slash loyalty program? I mean, I'm thinking of one, but is it similar in that same line in the US, or would this be completely unique, first time ever in a Canadian sphere that we're looking at it?
I think there's some similarities to what you might have seen in the US with Built, but Built is really focused around rent payments, and they did have some deeper partnerships with some airlines. I don't know if they're still in place or not, but that would be the only example that jumps into mind. We do like to think that this we're breaking some new ground, forging some new territory with this one.
Hmm. No, fantastic. And Tim is
Don't break
asking,
it.
well, with this membership that you're looking at, sometimes trying to break something is good because then they come up with unique sort of challenges. And I'm sure Liza will be busy over the next few months. Her team will be busy uh, listening to a lot of that good feedback. But based on what I'm seeing in the chat about initial interactions with Chexy, I mean, largely just straight up positive response in terms of, so as you can tell, Lisa, I mean, the points community is very much keyed into or locked into Chexy even before the partnership came through. But what makes this amazingly more valuable is when a partner like Aeroplan comes on, is because then it just brings the best of both worlds in-house, right, for us to work with. Iyad's question, are there plans for, and this is for Lisa, are there plans for near or long-term goals to extend Chexy payments to US bill pay participants for those with properties in the States, for example?
I'll be completely honest with you when I say I don't think in the very near short-term roadmap. I think it's already evident with some of the things that I have talked about, even for us to serve some of our Canadian customers with much more simpler use cases, there's no shortage of things that we still want to add and how we want to make the platform better. So I really don't want to commit to any timelines there. It's something that we have, I would say, briefly spoke about as a team. I think with any international expansion, it's very, very, I think, difficult because you're starting to interact with different payment rails and new network partners. And it's a very, I think, uphill battle in the start. And it's almost like you're building a new business to begin with. So I think we would be doing, I think, the Canadian market a disservice before we fully have build a product that can really stand on its own here. So it's not something, it's not a no, but it's kind of a not now, I guess the answer to that question is.
Mhm. Yeah, no. And to that, I mean, I think it's attached to that. A part of your answer will attach to this question from Susanna as well, where she's asking when she goes in to pay her taxes on CRA website, there's a couple of providers recommended. Is that something on the roadmap where we would love to see Chexy being recommended on the CRA website?
Yes, we've been kind of in contact with CRA. I think, it's as with any large organizations, it's very hard to get some of these pages updated, especially in the middle of a tax season. But I can tell you that people are paying tax through Chexy, and these payments are being recorded. And I have not seen any issues on that end. And CRA is aware of us accepting tax payments through Chexy. We just haven't quite gotten to the kind of the page update stage and the formal. I think they say they don't endorse anybody, by the way, on that page. They just say these are the platforms that we're familiar with. So
Right.
we are kind of in the works of getting our name out there.
Yeah. Perfect. And that would be such a big win, right, for the entire community, not just Aeroplan members, not just points maximizers, but just Canadians in general, to be able to have that immediate sort of look into a program that's available. A Canadian company being listed by CRA would be amazing. Other than some sunscreen questions from Timbo too for you, Scott, are there other other serious questions that we can take? Please feel free to. Sash is asking, sorry if I missed this, but will CRA payments to business accounts be supported in the future? Kind of asked that, Lisa, but at the expense of repeating, is this something that's solidly on the roadmap for Chexy, or is it something that let's just get everything else that we have onboarded in order before we can even start thinking small business tax payments?
I can tell you that we're working on the small business tax payments specifically right now. It's actually something that wouldn't really require any engineering effort. It's really about kind of the list of registered payees that Chexy currently has versus having some of these like small business tax specific payees for CRA. So we are working with our payments provider and sponsor bank to figure out if there's an easy way for us to be able to add that. I don't have an answer yet, but if it is something that's kind of within feasibility, we will be definitely trying to add that as soon as possible.
Hmm. Lovely, lovely. You've already answered this question slash a cheeky comment about uh, since the card limit is one, and be very feel free to be very straightforward and say that's fraud and we'll block it. Can somebody have a couple of accounts just because I want to use two different cards at this given time while you guys work on a proper solution for it?
Unfortunately, you can't. And there is a very good reason for that. And it is to prevent manufacturer spend and to prevent fraud. And because of some AML regulations, we need to have one KYC, i.e. know your customer, kind of identity record associated with one account. So we're pretty strict about that. There are certain instances where you might have had a legacy account that you didn't delete it, where we might delete the old account for you if you've gone flagged for this and approve your new account. But all of these get reviewed with a lot of scrutiny. What you can do is you can change your card in the system as many times as you want.
Hmm.
But that would be the only kind of workaround today, which I understand and I myself know is not an ideal user experience. So trust me when I say it's something that we're working on to try to get out to the users as soon as possible.
Perfect. No, those are good recommendations for sure. We are closing in on the hour we were promised by these lovely individuals, folks. If you have any last minute questions around Chexy or Aeroplan and what's to come, but just a quick reminder that starting Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, which is April 15th, you'll hear a lot more, not just from Points, Miles, and Bling, but from other Aeroplan and Chexy partners, the two brands themselves, as to what's coming in the pipeline. But there's acquisition offers, there's going to be other ways of making this or celebrating this partnership in a more meaningful way for members on both sides of the brand. But there being no questions, I think Liza, Scott, you are scot-free, so to speak. Thank you so much for taking the time. This has been fantastic. And again, hearty, genuine congratulations to both of you and the teams, particularly the teams that have worked so hard in the background. So thank you so much for bringing this to us. Thank you for spending the time with us. And I have nothing but glowing reviews for Chexy and this partnership coming up because let me tell you, I've been holding off at least on our household accounts so that I can open up a new one as soon as we know what the goodie bag holds this Tuesday.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us, Anshul, and thanks to everybody for joining us. We really enjoyed this.
Thanks,
Lovely.
Angela, and thank you guys. It's a pleasure to be part of this community, and I'm excited to see you all somewhere on the Chexy platform, hopefully, if not already.
Thanks. Thanks, Lisa. Enjoy the rest of your trip and safe travels back home. Take care, everybody. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.